What's good, Girl413 here back in today, and today, guys, we are here for another hashtag Torben Tuesday. For those of you guys unaware what Torben Tuesday is, the Tuesday before Playground Games does their series monthly live stream deal where they kind of go over all the updates. They post an image very similar to this one right here with some potential clues as to what we may see in the upcoming update. And I'm going to say this week seems like it's fairly easy. The last couple weeks have been really difficult. Like, a lot of people have had a lot of trouble, but sometimes the more difficult ones are the more fun ones. There's a lot more thinking involved and all that sort of stuff. This week, though, I feel like a lot more people are going to be able to get some of these clues, but we're going to be going over what I think these clues mean here today in this video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get on into it. So starting things off, let's go ahead and take a look at the farthest left monitor, which shows a picture of a GMC Bandura. Now, if we think about last week's, what we ended up seeing here was a Ford Crown Victoria, and what I think that is it's specifically mentioning, hey, you're going to be getting a brand new Ford vehicle, because we ended up getting the Ford Supervan 3. You know, everyone thought it was something that had to do with police, and I don't even think we really saw anything to do with police at all. Maybe there was a light bar update or something like that, but I think specifically they chose the Crown Vic because with that, it ended up, you know, the Supervan 3 and all that sort of stuff. But if we think about this here, I think with the GMC Bandura here, it could signify that we're getting a brand new GMC vehicle. Now, specifically, there is one GMC that has not been in this Forza game yet, but it's been in almost all the other Forza games to date, and that is the GMC Cyclone, which is kind of a late 80s, early 90s sport pickup truck. This thing was lowered, had, you know, nice street tires and street suspension. That's what this truck was built for. It wasn't necessarily built to go off-roading or anything like that, but it is a pickup truck, and it's a classic GM pickup truck that's been missing from the game. And the thing is, honestly, I love GM trucks. I have a GM truck, my Chevrolet Silverado. So I've been kind of sitting here wondering, okay, when are we going to get another GM truck? And this could be the possibility to go ahead and at least bring one back that used to be in the game. However, though, there is another possibility. If we open up the old leak list here, in GMC there is one other car, and that is the 1970 GMC Jimmy. Now, the 1970 GMC Jimmy is a vehicle that essentially was the competition for the Bronco. I mean, if you did not want to buy a Ford Bronco, but you wanted a vehicle very similar, you went and got yourself a Jimmy, because that was the Chevrolet counterpart. And the thing about the Jimmy is, I love them. I really do. I love that body style. You know, they're still basically a body-on-frame SUV. They're a true SUV, essentially, because a lot of today's modern SUVs are not body-on-frame. They're these crappy little crossovers. And you know, the ones that are body-on-frame, like, for example, the Toyota 4Runner, you know, they get treated like trucks. Where crossovers a lot of times get treated like cars, where in the aftermarket scene, that is. A crossover oftentimes gets slammed down to the ground, and that's what people do to them. Where a SUV like the 4Runner oftentimes gets lifted, big knobby tires for off-roading, all that sort of stuff. And occasionally you see the crossover get lifted and the SUV get lowered, but more than usual, it's the other way around. So honestly, if we end up seeing this 1970 GMC Jimmy, I'm actually going to be really stoked, because you had enough room in the back for the kids, plus you had a nice covered cab where you could go ahead and put the groceries in. It honestly just adds up to being a fantastic ride. Cannot wait to see that car into the game, and if it doesn't make it into the game this go around, it's definitely going to make its way onto one of my top 5 lists. Moving on down the line to the middle monitor, what we see is Edinburgh Castle. Now, with Edinburgh Castle here, you see most of it all grayed out, but in the center where the door is, you actually see this kind of white space. Not entirely familiar what this white space could possibly be. However, though, I almost wonder if we're going to actually be able to drive inside of Edinburgh Castle, or what exactly is going to happen, because they're obviously doing something with Edinburgh Castle here. What I'm kind of leaning towards, though, is I feel like it's more likely going to be that they're going to move the festival location slightly closer to the castle instead of almost right at the edge of the road where it is now, because at the current time, like, let's say you start in Edinburgh Castle or you fast travel to Edinburgh Castle, you actually end up on the road and you have to go into reverse to actually go into the festival at Edinburgh. Now, the problem is, though, is like all the other ones you fast travel to, you don't have to back up, you don't have to do anything, you can just go ahead and click the, I think it's the menu button, I can't exactly remember what it is, and it sends you right into the festival. But Edinburgh Castle's always had this problem, and I think it was because there was some kind of slope going on there, but hopefully what they've done is they've kind of gone in there, they fixed it, they changed the location for, you know, the Forza Vista and where you're going in and all that sort of stuff. That's really what I'm leaning towards here on the middle screen. Moving on to the third screen, we actually see two pictures. We're going to talk about the first picture here, and that is going to be the fact that we see this motor. Now, this motor specifically is to a Toyota 2000 GT. Of course, we don't have this car in the game, which probably means that we're going to be seeing a Toyota 2000 GT coming into the game. Honestly, this clue was a little too obvious. I don't know. I honestly saw this engine and I went, oh wow, 2000 GT motor. And I've never seen a 2000 GT motor, but I just somehow knew that that's exactly what it was, because you can see Toyota right there and you can see 2000, and it just made me think, yep, that's exactly what we're getting. We're not getting anything else. That is exactly what it is, because of course Toyota's back. We're likely to get another Toyota, and this is just going to be the next step in the progress. But then what we have is an airstrip, and supposedly what this airstrip is specifically, this is the one on some kind of, I think it's the Kennedy Space Center is what they call it, and this is down in Florida. It's a NASA airstrip, and honestly, it's a pretty damn nice airstrip, but I kind of think there's a couple things that could possibly be. One, we could be getting a new Playground Games map, which could be at the airstrip. I think that would be honestly the best use of this, because honestly, we need a Playground Games map there. I'm so surprised that there wasn't one. Like, I mean, they've got all these ramps and jumps and crawl spaces you can go through and hidey holes. Like, why wasn't there a Playground Games map at the airstrip? I mean, it just makes perfect sense. And plus, it'd be the only one that would actually have pavement. There's always been a Playground Games at the airstrip in, you know, Horizon 3. I think there was one at the one in one of the expansions. I mean, it's just, why wasn't there one there? That's all I can say about it. But the other thing is, it could be a hint towards another car. So if you actually know a little bit about NASA, back in the day, Chevrolet actually used to gift NASA employees, specifically the astronauts, with Corvettes. Now, due to federal guidelines, a federal employee cannot accept a gift for more than $25. So what NASA was doing instead is they did not actually give them the Corvette, but they gave them a lease on the Corvette, and they had to pay $1 a month. It was a special deal for NASA astronauts only. So a bunch of the astronauts, of course, what are you going to do but drive a freaking Corvette? And that's really kind of what launched a lot of the success of the Corvette back in the day. Now, there is a Corvette that has just recently come out that has been controversial, but honestly, I would love to see make it to the game, and that is the C8 Corvette. However, though, I will say this. I don't think that this is actually going to be the case. I think that this is tied to another clue up on the whiteboard, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. Finally, the last thing kind of here with the monitors and the desk or so, there's really not a whole lot on the desk, except for under the far right monitor with, you know, the picture of the motor and the airstrip, we see a battery. There's never been a battery there before. Last week it was actually a Bugatti Chiron parts car or whatever. It wasn't actually a parts car, but it was a Lego man standing near a bunch of Lego parts, and supposedly those parts were for the Lego Bugatti Chiron, but now we see a battery. So this battery could signify that maybe we're going to get some kind of electric vehicle in the game. Honestly, it's probably just battery sitting there. I don't think it actually has anything to do with this update, but who knows? I could be proved wrong. I really could be proved wrong. So now we go up to the whiteboard, and in the upper left hand corner we see 250 miles per hour with 186 miles per hour in 13 seconds. If you literally Google the McLaren Speedtail top speed, this is the first result. It tells you exactly all this information. It says the McLaren Speedtail has been tested to go 250 miles per hour with a 186 miles per hour in 13 seconds. Now I'm guessing 186 miles per hour has probably got some kind of significant number going on there, like maybe it's like 200 kilometers an hour. Not exactly sure what it is. I probably should actually figure that out before I made this video, but oh well. If you guys know, leave a comment down in the comment section down below. But I also think this ties into the picture of the airstrip that we saw not too long ago, because where they set this speed was at the Kennedy Air Center, or wherever this was, the Air Center strip thingamajigger. That's where they actually set this top speed for the McLaren Speedtail. So hopefully that is probably just another clue for that, although honestly I would love it to be the C8 Corvette clue and the McLaren Speedtail clue. Honestly, I think those would be fantastic. I really hope that we end up seeing the C8 Corvette someday, although I'm not holding my breath. I think it's probably going to end up being more of a Forza Motorsport 8 car. I really think that's probably where we're going to see it for the first time. Then from here on out, we have a bunch of clues all leading to the conclusion of one specific thing. So we have a couple sheets of paper. We have this one right here, which actually turns out to be this dog costume. It's actually a UPS delivery costume for a dog. We also see some like little snippets. There's this one posting on a window that has been seen around the game. As well, we also have this one right here, which is, I think it was from the Valentine's Day special. It was like a fake advertisement that they put in there. And really, all of these clues kind of line up to one thing, and that is that the express delivery is going to be coming into the game as a brand new Horizon story. That's pretty much all I can think of. You know, also some people have thought that maybe the GMC van was also another clue towards express delivery coming, that we were going to end up using the van quite a lot, which honestly would make a lot of sense. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm really seeing here. And then right above it, we see the word Pat with a 1. So Pat 1 is the license plate of a character from some old British show. Like, it didn't really take me too terribly long to find this, of a mail delivery person. So honestly, another delivery reference right there. There's going to be something that has to do with delivery, probably the express delivery Horizon story. We see all kinds of clues. You've got a dog in a UPS costume. You've got Pat 1. You've got express delivery flyers and ads from, you know, the Valentine's Day event. I mean, there's all kinds of things here that are going on that are just saying, yep, there's going to be a delivery. There is going to be a delivery Horizon story. After that, what we see is a couple of boxes underneath that first, like, the first picture with the dog. And what we see is we see car select, that's what I think it says. And then it goes to load. And then we have this new box where it shows pre-race solo or pre-race co-op. And then some other word I can't read. It kind of looks like maybe like moment or monument or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but I almost think that this means that they maybe have added some kind of new thing where you're actually going to go into a race, and when you're on that loading screen, you might have the option to do a pre-race where you can actually go ahead and go around the track and get some experience, possibly even making that the new loading screen where they'll just have you go around the race while they get everything settled aside. However, though, I've never really thought that they lasted too terribly long to make that an option, but it's something very interesting right there. I'm not entirely sure what exactly is possibly meant by that. But then we do have another thing over here farther down the board underneath the poster that's on one of the shops in Edinburgh, and it almost looks like it says restart, and then you have failure and success both equaling completion. So I almost think that possibly some people have found difficulty with some of the events and feel that, you know, hey, if I have to restart this event and do it twice, then it's too challenging and I should just get the reward right away. I really kind of hope that this is not the direction that they're moving in, because I like that challenge, and I really haven't had any that have been that challenging enough to where, you know, a couple of restarts maybe, but it's showing here that maybe, like, for example, you have the co-op trial events. Occasionally you can get some pretty crappy team members, and that can be annoying. You know, I could almost understand it with that, where, you know, hey, if you do the co-op trial event twice and you fail it, then you'll possibly also go ahead and get the reward then, but that's really the only case of where I feel like that could be applicable. So there are two more things going on in this picture. The last thing that we have is probably going to be the most important. I'm just going to go ahead and mention this. There's a couple squiggly lines over here on the edge of the board. I don't think they really mean anything because they're so far away from the rest of everything else that it's just kind of, you know, it doesn't really mean anything. I feel like maybe they were just testing their markers or whatever. But then we do have one big change that I think they were trying to throw some people with, because every single week I see in the comment section, oh my gosh, look at that car that's on the wall. Has that always been there? That's probably going to be some kind of clue. What motor is that? And it's always, every single week, someone comments back, that picture's been there forever. It means absolutely nothing. Well, this week, the picture has changed. And specifically, this is an engine for a car called a Napier. I know I'm butchering that name, I'm sorry. But the thing is though, there's a Napier car that was leaked to be coming to Forza Horizon 4. And that is the Napier Railton, a 1933 Napier Railton to be exact. So honestly, that's probably a clue right there that that is probably going to be the car that we're going to end up getting, which leads us to believe that we have got 4 pretty solid cars for this. We've got the GMC Jimmy, we have got the Toyota 2000 GT, we have got the McLaren Speedtail, and then we've got the 1933 Napier Railton. So anyway though, that's where we're going to wrap things up for today. Leave a comment down below, let me know, what do you guys think? Do you guys agree with my guesses here? Honestly, I feel like this has been one of the easiest ones so far. I feel like everybody's been able to go ahead and get a hold of this one fairly easily. Some of these clues could have alternate meanings, but for the most part, I feel like they're pretty straightforward. I mean, we're almost 100% getting a Speedtail at this point. We're almost 100% getting a Toyota 2000 GT at this point. We're almost 100% getting a Napier Railton. Really, the only car that's up in the air is whether or not we're going to get a 1970 GMC Jimmy. At least that is my opinion. It seems like 3 of these cars have pretty much been confirmed. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comment section down below. As well, if you want to, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at twitter.com/Gurf113 and Instagram.com/Gurf113. And if you like this video, go and make sure to hit that like button down below for us, because you guys already know your support is so greatly appreciated. And make sure to subscribe for more videos coming out all the time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out. Bye.